59-year-old man sits in an interrogation room. He is calm, almost professorial. He works at the University of Cincinnati. He was a music teacher for 31 years. He claims to work in criminal justice. And tonight, he drove across state lines to meet a 13-year-old girl. What follows is one of the most psychologically revealing interrogations ever recorded. Not because of what the suspect confesses, but because of how desperately he tries to reframe the narrative. This is a man who believes he can talk his way out of anything. A man who sees himself not as a predator, but as a helper. On the night of the 12th of April, 2007, law enforcement officers in Campbell County, Kentucky, conducted an undercover operation targeting online predators. An officer posed as a 13-year-old girl named Cheyenne in an adult chat room on Yahoo Messenger. Over several weeks, a 59-year-old man from Cincinnati engaged in sexually explicit conversations with the decoy. Tonight, after receiving directions and a phone number, he drove to Kentucky to meet her, but he was arrested on arrival. The interrogation opens with Detective Tom Mitchkey asking a simple question. What follows is the suspect's first attempt at misdirection.
So you just were out driving?
No, I don't want to admit that.
Okay. Did you come out to see somebody today?
Somebody invited me to come over.
Okay. Well, who was that?
Cheyenne something.
How'd you meet Cheyenne?
I was online and came up.
Notice the immediate contradiction. When asked if he was just driving, Jim says no. He doesn't want to admit that, but admitting he was just driving would actually be the innocent answer. His instinct to reject it reveals he already knows he is caught. He is not thinking about what is true. He is thinking about what sounds less incriminating. Then comes Cheyenne or something, the vague, dismissive phrasing designed to suggest casual unfamiliarity, but you don't drive across state lines to meet someone whose name you barely remember. This is distancing language. An attempt to minimize the relationship before detectives can establish its depth.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that generally the only place you do it?
Yes.
Okay. What do you have your own personal computer or laptop?
Yes.
Is it
Both.
Oh, do you have both?
I actually have 2 laptops.
You have 2 laptops?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's my business.
Okay, it's your business. Okay.
What type of business?
I do web pages for University of Cincinnati. I have access to those. I need to have access to them in order to do the business with them.
Here, Jim begins building what will become his primary defense, legitimacy through profession. He doesn't just have computers. He has them for business. He works for the University of Cincinnati. He needs access to chat functions for distance learning. This is credential stacking, a manipulation technique where someone front-loads their professional qualifications to establish themselves as trustworthy before the damaging information emerges. It is particularly common among predators in positions of authority, teachers, clergy, medical professionals. Jim is trying to establish that he is not the kind of person who does this. He is educated. He is employed. He is legitimate. But detectives aren't asking about his job. They're asking about his computers. And Jim's unprompted pivot to professional justification suggests he already knows those computers contain evidence.
And you usually use all those computers to chat to people or chat, or you just use one specific, or?
Watch the sentence structure collapse. Every time I don't do. But again, because the fact of the business that I am in, this is cognitive overload. Jim is trying to construct a plausible explanation while simultaneously monitoring what he has already said and anticipating where the questions are headed. The fragmented speech pattern is a classic indicator of deception under pressure. He is also performing what linguists call over-justification. When someone provides more explanation than a question requires, they're often defending against an accusation that hasn't been made yet. The detective asked a simple yes or no question about which computer he uses to chat. Jim responded with a paragraph about business necessity. Truthful answers tend to be direct. Deceptive answers tend to be elaborate.
Um, so you met Cheyenne.
I didn't meet Cheyenne. She came after me.
Okay, she came after you. Tell me about that.
I don't know. I don't exactly how it happened at all. I have no recollection at all what happened for her to make contact with me. I don't know. Was I on some line of some sort? I have no idea.
So you were chatting, and she came on to you while you were chatting sometime.
Well, somebody did, whatever who that Cheyenne is.
Okay. Do you know how old Cheyenne was?
She told me she was 13, but and I was very, very, very. I don't do that.
You don't do that.
I don't want to do that. I mean, I'm not there.
You're not there.
No, not at all.
This is one of the most revealing exchanges in the entire interrogation. First, Jim claims Cheyenne came after him. Immediate blame, shifting onto a fictional 13-year-old. He is not the pursuer, he is the pursued. This is a foundational element of predator psychology. The belief that children can be seducers, that they initiate contact, that they bear responsibility for adult decisions. Second, when asked about her age, Jim says, "She told me she was 13, an admission that he knew." But then comes the rapid-fire denial. "I don't do that. I don't want to do that. I am not there, not at all." The repetition is significant. In statement analysis, when someone denies something multiple times in quick succession, it often indicates they're trying to convince themselves as much as the listener. A single no would suffice for someone telling the truth. Jim needs 4 denials.
I'd be happy, like give me an 18, 19-year-old, and I'll be happy.
Oh yeah.
Okay. 13-year-olds, God, it's gross.
Not your thing.
No.
Give me a 19-year-old and I'll be happy. This statement is meant to sound reasonable. He is establishing a flaw, a boundary. See, he has standards. He is not attracted to children. 19 is legal. But notice the implicit admission. He is online looking for sexual partners. The question isn't whether he is seeking sex through chat rooms. The question is only about age. And his defense. 13 is gross. Is the defense of a man who got caught, not a man who never tried. It is also worth noting the performative disgust. Predators often express exaggerated revulsion toward their own crimes when confronted. It is a form of psychological distancing. If I say it is disgusting, I must not really be someone who does it. What we're witnessing in these opening minutes is the construction of an alternative identity. Jim is not denying the facts. He can't, because he was caught in the act. Instead, he is denying the meaning of those facts. In psychology, this is called identity protective cognition. When confronted with evidence that contradicts our self-image, we don't change our self-image. We reinterpret the evidence. Jim sees himself as an educated professional, a helper, a good person. The evidence says he drove to meet a 13-year-old for sex. These two things cannot coexist in his mind. So he builds a narrative that allows both to be true. He was manipulated. She came after him. He didn't really want to be there. It is not who he is. This isn't calculated deception, or not entirely. On some level, Jim may genuinely believe his own story. That is what makes predator psychology so dangerous. The lies they tell others begin as lies they tell themselves.
And when you were talking to Cheyenne on the chat line, what'd you guys talk about?
Well, and up until this afternoon, which was, I don't know what I gave in for, but I thought she was more like an adult. But no, I was very, very cautious not to be there. I didn't want to be there.
Okay.
I really don't. That's not my thing. I don't like it. I don't want it. Don't want it. Forward rest work.
But you might have had a little curiosity.
No, I don't even.
Which is
I'm
normal.
not even curiosity. I don't have any curiosity about it. It's too young. It's stupid. And now you can go back and look at all the records of the conversations I've had. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. It's stupid. I don't. That's not what I want to be.
Okay. You know,
I don't even. That's not me.
is that you?
No, not at all.
That is not me becomes Jim's mantra throughout this interrogation. He says variations of it over a dozen times. But watch what happens when he invites the detective to review the chat logs. You can go back and look at all the records. This is false confidence. Jim believes his careful word choices in those chats will exonerate him. He doesn't yet realize that detectives have already read every message. They know exactly what he said, and they're waiting for him to lie about it. The phrase, "it is stupid," is also telling. Not "it is wrong," not "it is harmful," not "it would hurt a child." The word stupid frames the crime as a tactical error, something that could get him in trouble, rather than a moral violation. His concern isn't for the victim, it is for himself.
Do you have any type of webcam or anything like that?
I do have a webcam.
Okay. Do you ever use it for any purposes? Or?
It's available.
Okay.
Use it. I don't know what that means.
Okay. Right. So we didn't get into what you guys talked about. What you guys talked about?
I was very, very up until today, which is obviously the reason the results have come. I have been very, very cautious of not talking about anything.
Okay.
I do not want to be involved with a 13-year-old. I do not like it. I don't want it, and for some reason, I just relaxed and.
The detective asks about a webcam, and Jim immediately becomes evasive. I don't know what that means. He knows exactly what it means, but admitting to webcam use would open a door he desperately wants to keep closed. So he feigns confusion, a stalling tactic that buys time to formulate a response. Then comes a crucial admission. For some reason, I just relaxed. This is Jim beginning to construct his explanation for tonight. He was cautious before. He didn't want this, but something changed. He relaxed. The implication is that his guard was down, that he made an uncharacteristic mistake. But relaxing isn't an excuse. It is a confession. If you have to maintain constant vigilance to avoid sexually pursuing children, the problem isn't that you relaxed. The problem is what you are holding back when you are vigilant.
So who do you think you were talking to?
Another person?
Another person.
Really? That's perfect. And that's honest with you. I don't know, for whatever worth value that is.
Okay.
I cannot condone the statements that I would have made this afternoon to her. I wish I could retract them.
Yeah.
Not because of you guys,
Yeah.
but because of the fact that I just don't. That's not it. That's not me. I don't see it. I don't.
Jim, I understand. All right. And I understand you've made a mistake here, okay? I've read the chats.
Right.
Okay?
And you can see how.
I see here where you told her that you wanted to fuck around. And that you
Then what provoked that?
know, yeah.
I mean, we can go down.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go to the details of the thing.
Yeah.
I understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I know what you're doing.
I'm just trying to understand here.
The detective has just revealed he has read the chat logs. He quotes Jim directly. You told her that you wanted to fuck around. Watch Jim's response, the more provoked. He can't even finish the sentence, but his direction is clear. He is about to claim provocation. He is about to say he was pushed into it, lured, manipulated. The 13-year-old made him do it. This is victim blaming in its purest form. And it reveals something important about predator psychology. They genuinely believe children have sexual agency. They believe children can seduce, entice, provoke. It is a cognitive distortion that allows them to offend while maintaining their self-image as good people who simply made a mistake. The detective wisely doesn't push. He says, "I understand what you are doing," and backs off. This is strategic patience. Let Jim keep talking. Let him dig deeper.
Number two, I didn't really want to meet with her.
Okay.
I really, if you go to the bottom lines of things, let's talk about facts that I denied, and I did not want to do that. I really did not want to.
Jim, I know you're under a lot of pressure right now.
I'm not
sure
under
your wife.
pressure at all.
Well,
I'm not. I'm really not. I mean, obviously being here is a little bit of
Yeah.
pressure, but that's not.
Are you married?
Yes. No. God, no. You want her? You can have her. I'm sorry.
I got one of my own. That's enough for me.
Yeah, this is just give her ammunition. That's all.
Well, I'm not trying to give no ammunition for nobody. This is just me, you, and Kate here. Okay.
Well, it's not, but
Well,
okay. I did not do anything to this, whatever this person is, whoever it is. I did not intentionally
okay.
I met with this person because this person, whoever it is, male or female or whatever, enticed me to the point where I
Enticed you.
wanted to. And I
Did you?
First, Jim's claim that he didn't really want to meet with her. But he drove across state lines. He got directions. He received phone calls guiding him to the location. His actions directly contradict his words. Second, when asked about marriage, Jim reveals he has an ex-wife. His response, "You can have her. This will just give her ammunition," shows his primary concern is reputation and personal consequence, not the welfare of any child. Third, and most importantly, this person enticed me to the point where I wanted to. Jim admits he wanted to. He admits he was enticed. He frames this as an excuse, but it is actually an admission. The detective didn't entice Jim into being attracted to a 13-year-old. The undercover officer simply created an opportunity. Jim's desires existed before the chat began. This is the fundamental flaw in the entrapment defense. Undercover operations don't create predators. They reveal them.
So you guys did talk about sexual acts in your conversations.
don't know that.
Okay.
You can go back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
don't know.
looking.
I don't know. I really don't know. It doesn't really,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned,
You know,
it doesn't matter.
Jim, I'm just trying to figure out what really happened. Because if we don't talk about it now, and if I just give this to somebody, they're going to think you are a sick, maybe possibly a child predator, and I don't think you're that point, okay?
I'm not.
And you're not. But if we don't talk about it, what else?
Tell me.
What else can I tell people? Saying, Jim made a mistake. This
I didn't
is what
follow
happened.
through. Number one. Number two.
Yeah.
Number two. Because the fact I didn't follow through is I'm not so sure that I wasn't turned down the street right when I was picked up.
Yeah.
The detective offers Jim a lifeline. "I don't think you are a child predator." This is the Reed technique in action, presenting the suspect with a face-saving alternative. "You are not a monster. You just made a mistake. Talk to me, and we can frame this the right way." Jim grabs onto it immediately. He begins constructing his defense around the idea that he didn't follow through. He even claims he was about to turn around, that he was arrested just as he was having second thoughts. But almost turning around isn't a defense. Driving to meet a child for sex is a crime regardless of what you plan to do upon arrival. The law doesn't require penetration. It doesn't even require physical contact. The crime is the intent and the substantial step toward completion. Jim is trying to negotiate with facts. He wants credit for the crime he didn't complete, rather than accountability for the crime he attempted.
I'm looking for some satisfaction from somebody. And I'm not looking, and again, my own motivation is not to just find somebody who's interested in me. Okay, not young, not old, not fat, not thin, not someone who is interested in who I am. And that's where we are.
And how long have you and your wife been divorced? Or been separated? Or
We've been divorced for 2000. What was it? 4 years, almost 5 years.
5 years ago? And
I've had relationships with other women. It's not that. It's not a sexual thing at all.
what is it?
There's somebody, and I guess, and I put this out. Maybe this isn't the right place for doing it, but Cheyenne, whoever Cheyenne is, some George down the hall, talked to me. And when that person talked to me, it was a person. Now, I have other people that I talk to, and for whatever that's worth, and I don't want to bring them into this, but
Made you feel good, didn't it?
it kept me away from that loneliness that I have when I'm sitting in my house by myself, and somebody who talks to me.
Nobody to talk to.
Yeah,
You feel that lonely feeling, and you know.
whatever,
And-
however that culminates itself.
And she tried and filled that, didn't she? She fulfilled that need.
Yeah,
This is the emotional core of Jim's defense, and the detective recognizes it immediately. Made you feel good, didn't it? Jim agrees. Cheyenne, or whoever was pretending to be Cheyenne, filled a void. She made him feel less alone. She talked to him. On the surface, this sounds almost sympathetic. Loneliness is real. Divorce is painful. The need for connection is human. But notice what Jim is actually saying. A 13-year-old girl made a 59-year-old man feel better about his life. She fulfilled a need. This is the grooming dynamic in reverse. Typically, we discuss how predators fulfill needs for their victims: attention, affection, validation. Here, Jim is admitting that the child fulfilled needs for him. He is describing a relationship where a child exists to serve his emotional requirements. That is not connection. That is exploitation.
but then it turns around because of this crap, which
Well-
which I understand you need for doing it. I don't.
So,
I think
so
there's
you
a
live
need for it.
alone.
There's a need for people out there, and yeah, and that need is fulfilled by and the law enforcement. By the way, I'm in criminal justice. I hate to tell you that. That's the bottom line, but
All right.
but I am. I at UC I work for the criminal justice department. There is a need for people in this society to have a connection with somebody, and I don't care. I don't want that where that connection comes from. I think is crucial, and that's where I got fucked up, you know. But don't judge me on that.
I'm not judging you.
I know you're not. I know, but eventually I will be. So yeah, and I know that system how it works.
Jim reveals he works in criminal justice. He knows how the system works. This is meant to establish credibility and perhaps create rapport with the detective. We're both on the same side. We both understand how this works. But it also reveals something darker. Jim has professional knowledge of predator investigations. He knows the tactics. He knows the consequences. and he did it anyway. This wasn't ignorance. This was arrogance. The belief that his education and position made him immune, or at least capable of talking his way out. His plea, "Don't judge me on that," is remarkable in its self-focus. He's not asking the detective to consider the child. He is asking the detective to consider his loneliness. He wants his emotional state to mitigate his criminal conduct. But loneliness doesn't justify exploitation. Millions of people are lonely. They don't drive to meet children for sex. Jim's loneliness defense is common among predators, but it fundamentally misunderstands the nature of the crime. Child sexual abuse isn't about sex. It is about power, control, and the exploitation of vulnerability. Predators choose children precisely because children are easier to manipulate, less likely to report, and more likely to comply. When Jim says he wanted someone interested in who I am, he is describing a fantasy where a 13-year-old girl provides him unconditional acceptance. But children can't consent to that role. They can't be emotional support systems for adult men. The power imbalance makes genuine connection impossible. What Jim calls loneliness is actually entitlement. The belief that his emotional needs justify crossing boundaries. And what he calls connection is actually grooming. The process of building trust with a child to facilitate abuse. The detective understands this. That is why he keeps the conversation moving, letting Jim rationalize while the evidence accumulates. As the interrogation progresses, Jim's defense evolves. He is no longer just lonely, he is altruistic. He wasn't pursuing Cheyenne for himself. He was trying to help her.
But Jim, I can understand that, when you're feeling lonely and, you feel like you have, you're you just live by yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you feel that lonely when you go home every night.
Mm-hmm.
You're feeling lonely. You talk to Cheyenne.
Or whoever.
And whoever, you're chatting to Cheyenne here. You feel like you can feel... Do you feel like you can feel open to say things?
Right. And I don't, and I think it's unfair of the justice systems to condemn me for talking to somebody. If it's underage, I can understand that, and I know that's where you come in. My relationship was created with my relationship to Cheyenne was because of the fact that I closed that out, and I fault you guys with that because of the investigations or how you do that.
Jim is drawing a distinction between himself and perverted people. He acknowledges that some predators form negative connections with children, but not him. His connection was pure. It was about conversation, not exploitation. This is classic cognitive splitting, the mental separation of oneself from the category of offenders one objectively belongs to. In Jim's mind, real predators are monsters lurking in shadows. He is just a lonely guy who talked to the wrong person online. But the law doesn't distinguish between lonely predators and perverted ones. The chat logs don't care about his self-perception. The child he thought he was meeting doesn't benefit from his rationalizations. The detective's response is masterful. He simply agrees. He doesn't challenge, doesn't argue, doesn't moralize. He lets Jim believe he's being understood, because a suspect who feels understood keeps talking.
So you spend a lot of time chatting?
I don't know what a lot of time is.
I guess it's relative to.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, probably a couple hours a day,
Yeah.
maybe 3. And most of it's not chatting. Most of it's just trying to find somebody who wants to talk.
Yeah.
And I think that's a major problem too.
What do you generally talk about with Cheyenne or other people? Just whatever
Anything.
comes up?
Anything. Music. The weather. Really. It really is I'm trying, I'm really being honest about that. I don't think it's going to go any further. I mean, you're gonna, this great, wonderful thing. You're going to find out the answers to the world on chatting, but it's a whole world out there, and
A couple hours a day, maybe 3. Jim admits to spending 2 to 3 hours daily in chat rooms looking for someone to talk to. That is 14 to 21 hours per week. Nearly a part-time job of seeking online connection. This isn't casual use. This is compulsive behavior, and it suggests a pattern that extends far beyond Cheyenne. His description of conversation topics, music, the weather, is deliberately benign. He's painting a picture of innocent small talk. But the detective has the chat logs. He knows what Jim actually discussed: sexual acts, physical encounters, explicit invitations. Jim is lying about the nature of the conversations while simultaneously admitting to their frequency. It is a strange contradiction, honest about the quantity, dishonest about the content. As the interrogation continues, Jim attempts a new tactic, challenging the legitimacy of the investigation itself. He argues that the undercover operation was unfair, that he was set up, that the system itself is flawed.
I have some real problems with what's going on right here, because I think it's an invasion of privacy. Not in terms of the younger age. I think that somebody else should have stopped that before I got to it.
Well, I'm not a chatter,
Okay.
so if you could educate me a little bit on,
Okay.
where would you go to find
in the
somebody
case
to talk
in the
to?
case of the Cheyenne thing, that was done through Yahoo Messenger, who has, if you're 18, you're not allowed here. If you are, in the sessions, adult Kentucky. And in that regard, that's where I really come off with I think it's not fair for you to come at me. Except for the fact that up front, because of the way you guys do the way you do things, you make sure that you say it's 13, 14, whatever. But that shouldn't be there in the first place. If it's going to be if it's going to be something that legally binds Yahoo or Goggle or whoever it happens to be an adult place to go, then if I go there and you even say that you're 13, why are you there in the first place? How did you get through that first level?
Jim is making a legal argument. If the chat room was designated for adults, then a 13-year-old shouldn't have been there. The undercover officer created an impossible situation, posing as a child in a space where children aren't supposed to be. This argument has been attempted in court. It has consistently failed. Here is why: the law doesn't require predators to seek out children exclusively. It criminalizes sexual exploitation of minors regardless of where contact occurs. If someone tells you they're 13 and you continue pursuing sexual contact, you've committed a crime. The venue is irrelevant. Jim's argument also reveals his mindset. He is not saying, "I would never pursue a 13-year-old." He is saying, "A 13-year-old shouldn't have been where I was looking." The distinction is damning. He wanted the space to be adult, only so his hunting ground would be legally protected. He is not objecting to the predation, he is objecting to the risk.
And I really have a problem with that. You guys have heard this over and over and over.
I'm really interested in knowing how this chat thing works and how you met Cheyenne What type is
I
there?
don't have any idea. I could go back to that. I don't know. I don't know what initiated the first conversation with Cheyenne. I don't remember. It could have been 3 weeks ago. It could have been a week ago. I have no idea. But I know that maybe I went through and I looked and I went down my list of people who were adult cams. And I said, hey, you interested in talking? Boom, webcam available. And the name comes up.
So you could tell that they had a webcam?
Yes, you can tell that.
Okay. So that's something that you look for
No,
when you
no,
talk
no,
to
no,
people?
I don't, no, I don't look for it. I don't
Oh,
look for
okay.
it. No, I look for somebody to talk to. You know, and,
But if they have a webcam, even better.
no, it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter.
The detective asks about webcams, and Jim's denial is swift and emphatic. No, I don't look for it. But the detective has already established that Jim owns a webcam. The chat logs likely contain references to webcam activity, and Jim's very presence in rooms where webcam availability is displayed suggests he is aware of the feature. His denial is too strong. When someone says no 3 times in rapid succession, they're often overcompensating. A truthful denial is typically calm and singular. Jim's triple negative suggests he knows webcam use is incriminating and wants to distance himself as far as possible. The detective notes this but doesn't press. Not yet.
It means that they're probably a prostitute and they're putting their stuff out in the camp. Most likely it means it doesn't mean a damn thing at all.
So what happens after that?
Okay, I put up a message out and they respond. And Cheyenne responds.
What happens after that? I'm not tech savvy. So
Okay. So Cheyenne responds. She says, "Hi, how are you?" "Hi." "Yeah, what you doing?" And it goes from there. And then, you know, if they're in the legal system and they're taking care of their little niches that they need to take care of, say, "Well, hey, I'm only 13. "Oh, that's okay. Still want to talk to you. What's going on? How was school today?" And I don't mean that. It sounds so trite, and it doesn't mean in terms of me. I'm a teacher. I've been a teacher.
Yeah.
Done it. How was your school today? Is not, well, let me get in and fuck you. That's not it. It's understanding that person. And I guess that's what
Because they have social needs too,
they
just
have
like
social
you.
needs. Here, okay, and then
Jim is constructing an alternative interpretation of his behavior when he asked, "How is school today?" It wasn't grooming. It was genuine interest in a child's well-being when he continued talking after learning she was 13. It wasn't predatory pursuit. It was compassionate engagement. He invokes his teaching career to legitimize this interpretation. Teachers ask children about school. Teachers show interest in young people's lives. He is just doing what teachers do. But there is a fundamental difference Jim refuses to acknowledge. Teachers don't meet students in adult chat rooms. Teachers don't engage in sexually explicit conversations. Teachers don't drive across state lines to meet children alone at night. The context transforms every innocent question into something sinister. How was school? Becomes reconnaissance. What are you doing tonight? Becomes opportunity assessment. Are your parents home? Becomes vulnerability mapping. Jim sees the individual words. He refuses to see the pattern.
in what is presented to me from Cheyenne or whoever it is, stupid said me as one, is here's this girl, supposedly girl, who supposedly is going through a divorce, whose parents are separated, not as an opportunity for me as a predator to go after them, but as a person to try and answer questions, and I
You're
just
helping
thought-
them.
Except for, like I said, this afternoon, which I went way over. And I only went overboard because of the fact that I personally was frustrated, but that's the end.
So do you see your role as helping them through their life as well as them helping you?
I'm always doing that. That's the person I am.
Sounds like you've done it for many years. I mean, you've helped people,
30, 40 years.
Yeah.
And not on the internet, but yeah.
Well, I'm not saying in your life. In your lifetime, you've helped many people.
To my colleague, it's next door to me. I'm helping her do what she needs to do. I'm not a bad person. I'm really not. And I didn't hurt her. I hurt whoever this Cheyenne was, and I knew it.
The detective makes a brilliant tactical decision here. Instead of challenging Jim's helper narrative, he validates it. Sounds like you've done it for many years. This is strategic agreement. By accepting Jim's self-image as a helper, the detective encourages him to keep talking, to elaborate, to commit more fully to a story that will ultimately incriminate him. Because here is what Jim doesn't realize. Every time he describes helping Cheyenne, he is admitting to prolonged contact with someone he knew was 13. Every time he explains his good intentions, he is confirming the relationship existed. Every time he distinguishes himself from real predators, he is acknowledging he understands the category. The detective is building a case with Jim's own words.
I don't know. Maybe in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I knew this was bad. I knew this was bad. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking,
You
maybe
knew what was bad.
this was a setup. It was all a setup.
Oh, talking with her was a setup?
Yeah, from the beginning. And in that frame, I was hoping that it wasn't, but in the good nature that I am, I really wanted to help.
How are you going to help her tonight?
I don't know. Tonight,
Mm-hmm.
talk with her. Talk with her about this divorce thing that her parents were going through. I mean, really, that was my gist.
Do you think it could have been more?
No. Got it. Okay. Let me go back to who was talking about lesbian. I went to, like I said, a swingers club last night in Dayton. I walked out. 3 women there. That's not what I mean. I mean, sexual.
But in your chat, you asked if she would have
Well,
sex.
only because I was trying to get that corner into her to let loose, and and I don't know, maybe in the wrong, maybe in the bad sense of things, maybe that was it, but I don't think it was. I wouldn't have followed through with it.
This exchange is extraordinary. The detective asks directly, "In your chat, you ask if she would have sex." Jim cannot deny it. The logs exist. So instead, he reframes the sexual proposition as a therapeutic technique, trying to get that corner into her to let loose. Let that sink in. Jim is claiming he asked the 13-year-old about sex in order to help her open up emotionally. The sexual content wasn't predatory, it was counseling methodology. This is delusional rationalization at its most extreme. Jim has constructed a reality where soliciting sex from a child is actually a form of care, where explicit conversations are therapeutic interventions, where driving to meet her alone at night is. What a house call. The detective doesn't challenge this absurdity. He doesn't need to. Jim is hanging himself with every word.
I think it was more just trying to get a connection with her.
Yeah, I really do. I think she just doesn't know where she's going. She doesn't know where she's
And
going.
she's trying to figure life out, and you're trying to help her figure that life out.
At least in my sense of it.
In your mind.
I would have. The last thing I wanted to do was come over here to Campbell County and meet a 13-year-old. Give me a break. Last night I could have had 2 women. Why would I want to do that?
But tonight you were just trying to help somebody.
I really feel I was trying to do that. And I turned her down twice. If you read those damn emails, I turned her down twice. I'm not coming. I'm scared. I don't want to do it. It's too much for me to do.
Yeah.
I turned her down twice. Jim presents his hesitation as evidence of innocence. He was reluctant. He was scared. He said no, twice. But he still came. That is the point he keeps missing. Reluctance isn't virtue. Fear of getting caught isn't morality. A predator who hesitates is still a predator. The fact that Jim had to overcome internal resistance to show up tonight doesn't exonerate him. It proves he knew what he was doing was wrong and chose to do it anyway. The detective echoes back Jim's narrative. Tonight you were just trying to help somebody. It is not a question. It is a mirror. And Jim looks into it and sees exactly what he wants to see. A good man making a difficult choice for noble reasons.
Right.
No,
I know that.
No, I wasn't.
I don't think you had any.
I have more intention of hurting myself than I do of hurting
But
her.
you needed to fill a void.
No. It's not a void. I don't want to make it a void. I got people I talk to some places. Okay.
What a need.
I have a need to help people.
Yeah.
Maybe that's closer to it than filling a void. Because I do have people who have problems, and I have no problems. But yeah.
Relationships are hard, and
Yes, they are.
it sounds like that the connection that you were making with her, she was innocent, you were innocent, you were just trying to help her, and it just got out of hand.
It got out of hand. I agree with you.
Yeah, and it's much easier to talk to a younger person because they're more open and understanding.
It is much easier to talk to a younger person because they're more open and understanding. The detective has just extracted one of the most damning admissions of the entire interrogation. Jim has explained, in his own words, why he prefers communicating with children. They're easier. They're more open. They don't have the defenses and skepticism of adults. This is predator logic laid bare. Children are targeted precisely because they're vulnerable, trusting, and easier to manipulate. Jim frames this as a positive quality, openness, understanding. But what he is actually describing is exploitable naivety. The detective immediately reinforces, she was innocent, you were innocent, you were just trying to help her. By agreeing that both parties were innocent, the detective gets Jim to lower his guard further. See, he understands. We're on the same page. I can keep talking.
But see, and again, this is the lesson I think that you need to learn. You're playing a role, or whoever's doing it is playing a role of something that they're not. And when they play that role, they've got all this stuff behind them, all this garbage, not garbage, it's not really garbage, it's really experience. Okay, they've got that behind them, and they're manipulating that all the way through it.
Mm-hmm.
And with a person or a good, successful, what are they called, officer who is doing this, a good officer can remove that a little bit, so they can be innocent to bring that in. But the return on that, which is the problem, is the person from the outside who comes in. They don't see it as that person who has all that control. And therefore, relax, give up levels of intensity that they might not have if they were talking to an adult. And therefore, because of relaxing that intensity, maybe get some things out that need to get out, but also go, in my case, go overboard. And expect that person who's on the other side, who is intelligent enough and has the experience enough to really understand what's going on there, makes a critical judgment instead of an emotional judgment on what's happened to a person like me.
This is a fascinating moment of meta-awareness. Jim is describing with surprising accuracy how undercover operations work. The officer creates a persona. The persona is designed to be disarming, to make the target relax. And when the target relaxes, they reveal themselves. But here is what Jim doesn't see. He is proving the operation worked exactly as intended. He admits he relaxed. He admits he went overboard. He admits he said things to Cheyenne he wouldn't have said to an adult. The undercover officer didn't create these impulses. The officer simply created conditions where Jim felt safe expressing them. That is not entrapment. That is revelation. Jim wants the detective to make a critical judgment rather than an emotional judgment. He wants his behavior analyzed intellectually, removed from the visceral reality of a 59-year-old man driving to sexually exploit a child. But emotions exist for a reason. The revulsion we feel toward child predators isn't irrational. It is protective. It is the appropriate response to a profound violation of trust and power.
I don't know if that makes sense, but do what you have to do. I don't really care. I mean, I really do. It's either gonna crush my life or we're gonna go.
Well, I think by getting it off your shoulders and talking about it, I think at least you're making a step somewhere. I mean,
I'm not trying to get some damn 13-year-old in my bed. That's not it. If I want to get somebody in my bed, I go to the swingers club. I go to the people I date, which there are 3 or 4 that I normally date, and I can do that. I'm not a predator. I'm not that in that ballgame. I don't like even young women. There's a little problem with that. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's like young little guys. I'm not like, put them over there.
That's not your thing.
Okay, it really isn't. Yeah,
that's not your thing.
But it's not. But beyond not my thing, it's I don't. There are people out there who do, and that's not me. And I'm really serious.
Jim returns to his refrain. I am not a predator. He lists his evidence. He has adult dating options. He goes to swingers clubs. He doesn't want young women in his bed, but actions speak louder than self-assessments. Tonight, Jim drove to meet a 13-year-old. Tonight, Jim brought condoms. Tonight, Jim admitted he was frustrated as hell and sexually motivated. His protestations of normalcy are contradicted by his presence in this interrogation room. The detective continues his validation strategy. I don't think you are that. By repeatedly assuring Jim he is not being judged, the detective keeps him talking. The more Jim talks, the more evidence accumulates.
But I felt like maybe it's a movement on the part of the people whoever did it to kind of motivate me to go that direction. No, I really was very, very cautious of not letting any information out, not even my emotions until tonight.
Tonight you felt, that you could be.
I guess I was
free.
I was just looked down. I was tired of playing games and doing the things and just backed off and just, okay, you want to talk, you want to get together, here's my phone number, give me a call, I'll do it. I mean, really, it's
And you let your guard down.
I let my guard
You let
down.
your guard down.
I let my guard down only because of the fact that I had my guard up for weeks.
Yeah.
And only and through that guard that I had, I thought maybe she needed some help. Maybe she needed to talk to somebody. Maybe she was moving in a direction that I could help her in some way. Really, that's the honest answer.
And what did you want to talk to her about? I mean regards to
I wanted to open up those channels. I don't know where she was in that regard. I wanted to open it up so she could talk to me. And she in the past she was guarded too.
I've had my guard up for weeks. Jim admits to sustained wariness throughout his communication with Cheyenne. He knew something was potentially wrong. He was careful not to reveal too much. He maintained emotional distance. Until tonight, when he let his guard down. This is not the behavior of someone engaged in innocent conversation. This is the behavior of someone managing risk. Why would you need a guard when talking to a child about her parents' divorce? Why would you be cautious of not letting any information out if your intentions were purely helpful? The answer is obvious. Jim knew he was doing something wrong. The guard existed because he understood the danger. And tonight, his desire overcame his caution. The detective's simple response, "Really, that is the answer," is brilliantly ambiguous. It sounds like agreement, like closure, like understanding. But it is actually documentation. Jim has just explained his entire psychological journey from first contact to arrest, having established the emotional narrative. The detective now guides Jim toward the explicit content. This is where the helper delusion becomes impossible to maintain.
And you talked about a lot of things. You said you talked about, different things. How was it you guys talk about? I know you said you let your guard down, and you're feeling lonely. How many times did you guys talk about sexual things?
Nothing until tonight.
Okay, nothing.
That I'm aware of.
Are you aware?
I don't remember anything. The connotation of the. If it was like really off the wall.
Off the wall.
Yeah, it wasn't like as straightforward as it was tonight.
So what do you consider straight, kind of off the wall? Just something that you remember to talk about.
I don't remember. I don't remember specifically.
Do you guys? Use off the wall things, maybe about giving a blowjob or anything like that, or
talking about what kind of relationship do you have? What she have with her boyfriend?
Okay.
And
do you guys go deeper than that?
He ever touch you?
Yeah.
About that? That's about it. That's about the extent of it. That's about the bottom of it.
That's all. Did she ever talk to you about going deeper than that? Any?
Not until tonight.
Okay.
And I'm not sure she really went that far with me as much as I went with her, which is my problem.
The detective asks directly, "How many times did you guys talk about sexual things?" Jim's response, "Not nothing I am doing mine," is grammatically confused, indicating stress. He then attempts to minimize off the wall, not straightforward. When pressed for specifics, Jim offers examples designed to sound mild, asking about blowjobs, discussing her relationship with a boyfriend. He frames these as casual inquiries rather than sexual solicitation. Then comes the critical admission. "She really went that far with me as much as I went through, which is my problem." Jim acknowledges that he went through sexual content, more than he'd like to admit, more than he can explain away. The problem, in his framing, is that he went further than she did. He is still trying to position himself as the one who crossed a line, rather than recognizing that any sexual conversation with a 13-year-old is the line.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
What did you guys talk about tonight that just kind of seemed like everything?
I don't know what it was about tonight. I don't know what provoked that. Maybe it's just a commonality or just a talking over a period of time, which is probably a lot of it.
Kind of culminated over a couple
No,
of weeks.
it wasn't a culmination. It was more. It was more of a just a relaxed nature between two people. Like I said, it wasn't a culmination of things. It was more of a relaxed nature of understanding each other.
So you felt like you were on the same page.
Yeah, that we could talk about something.
And you were open. You guys were open.
I agree with that. I think for some reason it became more open tonight than ever before, and then obviously exploded.
A relaxed nature of understanding each other. Jim is describing emotional intimacy with a 13-year-old. He felt they were on the same page. They could talk about something. There was mutual opening. This is the language of romantic connection, not mentorship. Jim isn't describing a teacher, student dynamic, or a counselor, client relationship. He is describing a relationship between equals, between two people who understand each other. But a 59-year-old man and a 13-year-old girl cannot be equals. The power differential makes genuine mutuality impossible. What Jim experienced as connection was actually the successful execution of his own grooming script. He created the illusion of intimacy by controlling the conversation. The tragedy is that Jim seems to genuinely believe in this connection. His delusion isn't purely cynical. He has convinced himself that his relationship with Cheyenne was meaningful, reciprocal, and valuable to both parties. That is what makes him dangerous. After extensive dancing around the subject, the detective finally pins Jim down on the question of intent. What follows is the closest thing to a confession this interrogation will produce.
But again, I jump on you guys for that. I jump on you for that because that what I needed, whether it was Cheyenne or Joe Blow, I needed somebody to talk to, and instead of somebody to talk to, I ended up with investigations.
Well,
I understand. I don't criticize you for it. Don't understand. Don't misunderstand.
I understand.
It's a real social, and it's a real social problem. I don't know how often do you do this every night?
No.
No.
This is Jim. You know, like I said before, we're just trying to get at what happened tonight and what's been happening. And you know, I understand that you've had a rough time. You needed to talk to somebody.
Yes.
You could have went out with 2 women or 3 women the other night.
15. I mean,
Right.
the other night,
Yeah.
2 nights. Okay.
Talking to Cheyenne made you feel good. Kind of let you.
It solved a problem,
It-
but it didn't solve a problem in terms of I didn't do anything except for talk.
Yeah. And and then tonight was just a culmination of, you felt like, hey, maybe I need to see her. Maybe she can I can open up to her.
And that's exactly, and that is really essentially it. Would it come to in some sexual thing? I'm not going to say it wouldn't, but I'm in the other side of me, which it wouldn't have. It wouldn't have.
I am not going to say it wouldn't. After hours of denial, Jim finally admits that the meeting might have become sexual. He tries to walk it back immediately. The other side of me wouldn't have. But the admission is on record. The detective's approach has worked. By creating an atmosphere of understanding, by validating Jim's self-image, by treating his rationalizations with apparent respect, he has extracted an acknowledgement that sexual contact was a possibility. Jim still can't fully commit to the truth. He still needs to believe that his other side would have stopped things, but he can no longer claim the meeting was purely altruistic.
I can't believe your phone's ringing. It would not have. It would never reach that point because of the person I am, and because I would never take an advantage of her. If you go back on those and you'll see it, how many times I asked her, "Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure?" And the reason why is because I didn't want to hurt her. I didn't want to. She was young, supposedly. She was young, and I did not want to do that. I really, this young thing.
I don't think Jim, you did not. I know you didn't want to hurt her.
No.
And you went there tonight to see her, to help her out, you know, and things could have, you know, but you would. I don't think if anything would have happened, and I'm talking anything,
Okay.
you would have never hurt her. Jim, I know that.
No, I wouldn't.
You.
That's not me.
That's not you.
How many times I asked, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Jim presents his repeated confirmations as evidence of care. He checked in. He made sure she wanted to proceed. He was considerate. But what was he checking? Whether she wanted to meet a stranger from the internet? Whether she wanted to engage in whatever he had planned? Whether she was really willing? These are not the questions of a helper. These are the questions of someone seeking consent for sexual activity. And you cannot seek meaningful consent from a 13-year-old. The detective's response is his most pointed yet. Things could have, you know. He doesn't finish the sentence. He doesn't need to. Both men know what might have happened.
But you were there for her. You were going to try to be there for her, and you came here for that reason, to be there for her tonight.
And let's be realistic about that too.
Yeah.
I came here to be for her, possibly sexually too.
Yeah.
I came here to be for her, possibly sexually too. There it is, the admission the entire interrogation has been building toward. Jim has finally acknowledged what was obvious from the beginning. His trip to Kentucky was sexually motivated. Not entirely. He still needs the helper narrative, but possibly, partially. In addition to his altruistic intentions, the detective has achieved his goal. After an hour of careful rapport building, strategic validation, and patient questioning, Jim has admitted to driving across state lines with sexual intent towards someone he believed was 13 years old. The rest is documentation.
I don't know if I could ever have done that. I don't think I could ever. I mean, I'm serious. I told you this, went to the swingers club. So I've been dating. I have gone there twice, and I've walked away because, no, that's not what I want. I want to go to some place and meet somebody who really, really needs what I am, not my dick. You know?
He wants you for you. Wants Jim.
Yeah, and I'll do a hell of a lot for that. We can go into personal details on that, but there are people. There are people in my life who would do anything for me to just give up everything I have and just go with them. But I won't do it. And there are other people on the inside who need every bit of me, and I can't give them that because I've got this other person who really needs me, who won't say the thing.
I want to go to some place and meet somebody who really, really needs what I am. Jim is articulating a profound loneliness and a desire to be valued for himself, not just sexually. On the surface, it is almost sympathetic. Everyone wants to be needed. Everyone wants to matter. But notice who he chose to fulfill this need: a 13-year-old girl. Adults have defenses. Adults have experience. Adults can see through manipulation and reject advances. A child, in Jim's calculus, offers something adults cannot: unconditional acceptance, uncritical admiration, and vulnerability that can be shaped into dependence. When Jim says he wants someone who really needs him, he is describing a power dynamic where he is essential and the other person is dependent. That is not connection, that is control.
Sounds like there's a lot of relationship issues going on
Oh,
for
absolutely.
you right now.
Oh, absolutely. I have no question about it.
Yeah.
I can be specific about it. You want specifics, or you want to talk about legalities? I have a girlfriend who won't get married, who doesn't want to see me, except for on the weekends when she wants to get fucked. Okay. I have another woman who would love for me to just move in with her. I can't move in with her because she's not going anywhere. She's not. I want this one to come around, but she never will. So what I do, juggle phone calls on those two. Then we add in the other emotions, and okay, so I can't satisfy any one of the two. I know you. I can see you're gone on this. You have no clue what I'm talking about. But this is all going on.
But these are your feelings.
Yeah.
These are your feelings.
Well, no, they're beyond my feelings. So they're people who affect my feelings, and they're people who I can get down on my knees and say, stop this shit.
And
they so eventually I'll die and everybody else will go on.
Jim describes a complicated web of adult relationships: a girlfriend who only wants sex, another woman who wants commitment he can't give, unresolved feelings he can't satisfy. This is meant to contextualize his behavior. See how complicated my life is. See how many pressures I am under. See why I might have made a mistake. But the complexity of Jim's adult relationships doesn't justify pursuing a child. If anything, it raises the question: why, amid all these adult options, did he choose to invest emotional energy in a 13-year-old? The answer is that children are simpler. They don't have competing demands. They don't have the experience to challenge or reject. They can be molded into whatever the predator needs them to be. Jim's messy adult life isn't an explanation for his crime. It is the backdrop against which his choice becomes even more disturbing.
because I want to get it right. I don't want to say something that's not right.
Okay.
But tonight, you wanted to see how she was emotionally, sexually.
Mm-hmm.
Does that what kind of when the condoms come into play?
Were the what?
Condoms she had on you?
I wanted to put them in my pocket, which I did last night also.
Yeah.
Maybe that should be noted.
Yeah.
I put the condoms in my pocket tonight.
Yeah.
If something culminated that it went that direction, at least
You want to feel you want to be safe.
Okay, the same reason why I had them in my pocket last night, in case of when I went to the swingers club,
Yeah.
I would have them in that case.
And you protect yourself.
Yeah. Number one, I protect myself. Number two, I protect the person who's involved.
Just like I said, you care about people. I can understand that you would want, like I said, you didn't want to hurt nobody.
Exactly. That's
And,
exactly it.
and that's and tonight went in that direction. You were at least been prepared.
I was prepared if it came to that point.
Yeah.
Jim admits he brought condoms in case something culminated. The helper narrative collapses entirely. You don't bring condoms to counsel a troubled child. You don't pack protection for an emotional conversation. The condoms prove premeditation. They prove sexual intent. They prove Jim knew exactly what might happen tonight. His attempt to normalize, same reason why I had them last night at the swingers club, actually makes things worse. It reveals that sexual readiness is his default state. He carries condoms as a matter of course. The swingers, club, and the meeting with a 13-year-old exist in the same category in his mind: potential sexual opportunities. The detective's response is strategically affirming. You care about people. You didn't want to hurt nobody. He is reframing the condoms as evidence of consideration rather than predation. By doing so, he keeps Jim comfortable, keeps him talking, keeps him confirming details.
Did I really expect it to be there? No.
Did you want it to be there?
Oh yeah, I'd love to be there. Only in the sense that I'm frustrated as hell. I mean, I went up to the Swingers Club, nobody there. No, I can go down. I can go down the list.
Up and down, up and down.
I can go down the list. It's been 2 weeks since I've had a, and yeah, I'm frustrated as hell. But expectations of it being there, not any more than anything else. Really, and it really is an aggressive nature on my part. You know.
But you have feelings. I mean,
Well, but what I'm thinking of is, okay, I'm going to go over and meet her. So what happened? Whatever happens, okay, it's fine. And then I'm thinking about, okay, well, I'm going to stop over at Rhino's over after it's over with. Maybe there's, you know, Rhino's. Rhino's is over. It's a bar over in Eastgate. And okay, so if you know, if this like doesn't happen or whatever, I'm ready. That's exactly where it was.
I am frustrated as hell. 2 weeks since I've had. Jim admits to sexual frustration. He hasn't had sex in 2 weeks. He came tonight hoping something would happen. He had a backup plan, a bar called Rhino's, in case the meeting with Cheyenne didn't pan out. This is devastating testimony. Jim has described his evening as a sexual outing with multiple potential stops. First, try the 13-year-old. If that doesn't work, hit the bar. The child wasn't special. She wasn't a unique connection. She was one option among several for satisfying his frustration. Every claim of emotional bonding, of wanting to help, of caring about her well-being. All of it is undermined by this admission. Jim was sexually frustrated and looking for relief. Cheyenne was a possibility. That is all.
and things would have went. Say things would have went differently tonight, and we were not here. Do you think you could have had a relationship with Cheyenne? Do you think there was enough of a connection there that you could have a relationship with her?
I think it's too early.
But you did feel connected. You did feel connected to her.
I felt connected to her, but but it was too fast.
Too fast.
It probably would have been one of those things where we sat down, have the iced tea, and I went home. And that's what's so bad about this, because that's where I was. You know, maybe she wasn't the same same area, but or whoever it is. But for me, I really was not trying to.
I felt connected to her. Even now, even after admitting sexual intent and frustration, Jim maintains the emotional narrative. He felt connected. It was too fast. If things had gone differently, they might have just had iced tea. This is the groomer's fantasy, the relationship that develops naturally, consensually, beautifully, the child who understands, the connection that transcends age. It is a delusion, but it is a powerful one. Jim needs to believe that something meaningful existed between him and Cheyenne. Without that belief, he is just a 59-year-old man who drove to sexually exploit a child. The belief in connection allows him to remain, in his own mind, a good person who made a mistake, rather than a predator who got caught.
We've done over that.
Okay, but the point is, you still think that so there's some sense of that.
But Jim, if you made a mistake, I can handle. You made a mistake tonight.
I did not contrive this girl into having sex with me. What I did was I tried to meet with her,
to help her out.
To help her out in what she needs to do. She's going through some stuff with her. If that's really true. And then I still go on with my life.
And that's different from a predator.
Yeah. Well, I hope so.
Who
God, I
takes,
hope so.
you know, Jim, I see the difference. Okay.
Okay.
And I see.
I hope so, because I certainly
There's a
not there.
clear distinction there.
Okay. Well, I just, you know, I don't want that clapped on top of me. I've spent many, many years not keeping away from it, but being aware that it's out there, and just being careful.
Yeah.
And then the fall on this is like,
Well, you've not had any issues before.
no, not at all, not at all. But the thing is, music teacher, elementary school, there's magnitudes of shit out there for that, and things like this. If this had ever happened to me, I would be fired from West Claremont immediately, because of the fact that there is that stigma.
I did not contrive this girl into having sex with me. I tried to meet with her to help her out, and that is different from a predator. Jim makes his final distinction. He is not a predator because he didn't force anything. He didn't trick her. He just wanted to help. But predation doesn't require force. Most child sexual abuse occurs through grooming, the gradual building of trust, the slow normalization of boundary violations, the creation of emotional dependence. Force is actually rare. Manipulation is the standard tool. Jim's approach, the caring conversations, the emotional support, the helper role, is textbook grooming. The fact that he didn't contrive the girl into sex doesn't make him innocent. It makes him patient. His reference to his teaching career is particularly chilling. If this had ever happened to me, I would be fired immediately. The concern isn't moral, it is professional. He is worried about the stigma, not the harm. He has spent years being careful. His words, which suggests awareness that his inclinations could cause problems if discovered. Being careful isn't the same as being innocent. Jim has been managing risk, not managing morality. With the interrogation winding down, the detective moves to administrative matters. He asks Jim for consent to search his vehicle. Jim agrees immediately, perhaps too immediately.
While I'm here, is there anything? I don't think they expect I would find anything, but is there anything in your vehicle that I should know about? Anything?
I don't think so.
Would you mind if any of the officers would look through to see?
I've no, absolutely not at all.
Okay, so you don't mind if they look through your vehicle to see?
If they fill up my tires with air.
Well, I don't. I will ask them. I will ask them, but I don't know what you'll get.
The reason I say that is because my light came on.
Oh.
My air pressure is
Well,
down.
I will.
No,
I'll let them know.
There's not a damn thing in that car.
But you don't mind them taking
So
a
you don't
look?
mind them
absolutely
searching?
not at
You
all.
want me to go get those forms?
Yeah,
for
if
you?
I don't
Okay.
do drugs. I don't do that kind of thing. I do drink, but
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
okay.
Hand me my paper and pen there if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Okay. Yeah, I've had my drinks and I've done that share of that shit. I was a professional musician for years and years. Never did drugs.
Never did drugs or anything?
About the only time I ever, well, I could have one experience. I'll share.
What?
Okay, I'll share. It was with my ex-wife.
Mm-hmm.
We were, I guess we were like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years married. We had a 30-year marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Oh, I want to try that pot shit." So I made arrangements to get this pot from somebody. I don't remember who it was.
Jim consents to the vehicle search without hesitation. He even makes a joke about filling his tires with air. Then he launches into an unprompted story about the one time he tried marijuana with his ex-wife. This is nervous rambling. The interrogation has taken a toll, and Jim is filling silence with irrelevant anecdotes. But it also reveals something about his self-image. He is a rule follower. He doesn't do drugs. He was a professional musician, a teacher, a respectable person. The disconnect between this self-image and his presence in a police interrogation room for attempting to meet a child for sex seems lost on him. He can reconcile the two, only by maintaining that tonight was an aberration, a mistake, something that doesn't reflect who he really is.
She took a one draw of this, and she got deathly sick. I mean, deathly sick. I'm telling you, at the end of the whole evening, I had called the doctor, and I had taken her to the hospital.
So you had a whole night of just her idea.
Oh God! It was, that's one of the only 2 times. The other time was I was playing a New Year's Eve job in Ashland, Kentucky, and the snow was really bad, and I had helped move some equipment and stuff, and I pulled me back, and they took me to the hospital, and they gave me a damn shot of morphine at that time in Ashland. I couldn't sit up at the piano. I swear to God, I couldn't play. I couldn't play with shit. They'd hired me for like $100 for that night, and I could just that's my drug thing. I drink vodka. I drink a lot of different things, but probably a couple drinks a night.
Jim's drug history: one bad experience with marijuana 30 years ago, and a hospital morphine shot after an injury. That is it. He drinks vodka, a couple drinks. He is establishing himself as moderate, controlled, normal, not an addict, not someone with substance problems, just a regular guy who has a couple drinks to relax. The subtext is clear. I am not the kind of person who does extreme things. I am not out of control. What happened tonight was out of character. But the evidence suggests otherwise. Jim has admitted to spending hours daily in chat rooms. He has admitted to sexual conversations with someone he believed was 13. He is admitted to driving across state lines with condoms in his pocket. These aren't the actions of someone in control. These are the actions of someone whose compulsions have overwhelmed his judgment. The detective now asks about Jim's home. Specifically, he wants to know about the computers, the devices where all those chat logs originated.
The only other thing is, I know you said you had nothing in your house. Do you have anything inside your residence there on
Brandy Way?
Brandy Way. Is there anything in there that would give us any concern? You said you didn't have anything.
You have, the only thing that you would have would be the computer things, but you have all the references to that.
Okay. Do you have a problem with anybody looking in there to make sure there's nothing of...
Well, they want to see my genitalia. I'm sorry.
Got me off guard there. Jimmy got me.
Yeah,
Did I really?
Jimmy got me.
It's late.
Yeah, it's late.
I'm sorry. No, there's nothing on there. I don't keep pornography on there. I don't distribute pornography. If somebody wants to go in there and go through and find some sort of program that I have,
There's no kiddie porn or anything like that.
No.
And it doesn't all. Everything's going to find is adult stuff.
No, I'm not even talking about that stuff. I'm talking about if somebody goes in, they find out that I have a piece of software that I have.
Oh,
No,
like Juarez or something.
That there might be something like that, but there's no, I don't do that. I'm telling.
Yeah.
Go in.
The detective asks about the residence, and Jim's demeanor shifts. He is suddenly less cooperative, more cautious. There is no kiddie porn or anything like that. The denial is specific and unprompted. The detective asked generally about anything that would give us concern. Jim immediately specified child pornography. In statement analysis, this is called leakage. When a suspect introduces a topic they're worried about before it is raised by the interviewer. Jim's mind went directly to child pornography, because he knows that is what investigators look for in cases like this. His assurance that everything's going to find is the adult stuff is meant to be reassuring, but is actually an admission. There is pornography on his computers. Just adult pornography. Nothing illegal. The detective notes this, but doesn't press.
Okay. You have no problem with that?
No.
Okay. Well, what I'll just do another consent if you don't have a problem with that.
Okay, but does that mean that they come in and take my computers away and cause me a problem not to be able to work?
Well, that could be an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if there's information, I mean, if they deemed it feels like it could have some information that they may need, that is a possibility.
Okay, so give me some help here.
I can't tell you what to do. I mean,
Yeah.
it's up to you.
I don't want to seem like I'm not cooperative, because I really am cooperative,
Yeah.
because I really don't have the kiddie porn shit on there.
Yeah.
If they want to do
Right.
that, if there's kiddie porn shit on there, somebody else has put it on there from some site or something. But in the same regard, I need to be able to use my computer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jim's concern crystallizes. He needs his computers for work. This is a striking priority. He is facing charges for attempting to meet a child for sex, and his primary worry is professional inconvenience, not the legal consequences, not the moral implications, the computers. His repeated insistence that there is no kiddie porn. He says it 4 times in this exchange, continues the leakage pattern. He is preemptively defending against an accusation that hasn't been made. And then comes the hedge. If there is kiddie porn sit on there, if somebody else has put it on there from some site or something. He is already constructing an alternative explanation for evidence that may be found. It wasn't me, someone else put it there. A site infected my computer. This is consciousness of guilt. Jim is worried about what investigators will find, and he is preparing his defense in advance.
It's
Only-
completely
only-
your call.
Okay, but in lieu of the conversation that we just had, I'm not putting you on the spot, but that is my reasoning for doing it.
Okay. That's fine.
I have to have access to my computer. I have to have it in order to do my job.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to force you to, sign anything that you don't feel you want, and then I understand your reasoning. That's fine. And I'll just leave it at that.
Jim declines to consent to the home search. After cooperating fully with the vehicle search, after admitting to sexual intent, after confirming he brought condoms, Jim draws the line at his computers. This is significant. The computers are where the chat logs live. The computers are where any images would be stored. The computers are the repository of Jim's online life. His willingness to talk, to confess, to explain, all of it stops at the threshold of his hard drive. The detective doesn't push. He doesn't need to. With Jim's admissions on record, investigators can obtain a warrant. The voluntary confession has provided probable cause for a compulsory search. Jim's attempt to protect his computers will fail, and whatever is on those devices will become part of his case. There is one more piece of evidence the detective wants access to: Jim's cell phone. The device contains the calls and messages that coordinated tonight's meeting.
Hey Jim, we got one other housekeeping issue. Now, when you came in, you had a cell phone,
Mm-hmm.
and what else did you have with you?
My billfold, my keys, my money.
Okay, did you have, what are those things called? A Trio or Blackberry or?
Trio was my phone.
Okay. We would like to take a look at that.
Fine.
Would you give me consent to do so?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that'd be property, and you got consent to complete search of property located at,
Self.
it was on your person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jim consents to the phone search without hesitation. Absolutely. The phone is less threatening than the computers. The phone contains evidence of tonight, the calls with Cheyenne, the directions to the meeting location. But tonight's evidence is already established. Jim has admitted to everything that happened today. The computers are different. The computers contain history, patterns, other conversations, other potential victims. Jim's selective consent, yes to the phone, no to the computers, reveals his calculus. He'll give up what is already known. He'll protect what might be discovered.
Okay, and it's a Trio?
Trio. T-R-E-O.
And you had a cell phone in addition to that,
No,
or it's all one thing?
It's my phone.
Okay. And is there anything else that I would use to describe it?
No, not really.
Trail. Okay. I grant this consent to.
It just has all my addresses and all my people on.
Okay. The date is April. I have the time and see if it's on this phone. Such luck.
What, the date?
The time.
Yeah. I don't know.
At the time.
I watched Tide today, actually.
You have the time. You have the time. 1:50. Thanks.
Well, no wonder I'm tired.
Yeah. Let's see, it's 1:50 a.m. Okay, let's go over this and make sure it reads correctly. I hereby consent to a complete search of the property located on my person, and more particularly described as Treo, Treo. I grant this consent to Agent Catherine Reed, known to me to be an agent of the Office of the Attorney General, and to such other officers deemed necessary to assist. I know that I have a right to refuse to consent, and I voluntarily give up that right. I know that the agent does not have a search warrant. I have not been threatened or coerced in any way, nor have I been promised any favor or benefit. I have read this consent form, or it has been read to me, and I understand it. The date is April 13th, 2007, and this time is 1:50 a.m.
The consent form is read aloud. Jim signs. It is 1:50 in the morning on the 13th of April, 2007. The interrogation has lasted approximately 2 hours. In that time, Jim has admitted to sexually explicit chats with someone he believed was 13, admitted to driving to meet her with sexual intent, admitted to bringing condoms in anticipation of sexual contact, and consented to searches of his vehicle and phone. He has also refused consent for his computers, the one piece of evidence that might reveal the full scope of his online activities. The formal documentation is complete. What remains is processing. As the paperwork concludes, Jim continues talking. The interrogation is effectively over, but he can't stop explaining himself. What emerges is a portrait of a man desperate to be understood.
How old did you say you were?
59.
59.
Going on 60.
You've seen a lot of life.
Mm-hmm. My father was killed when I was 2 years old.
Really?
He was shot in the back, and my mother was 17.
Wow.
And she brought me up and went through all that. And she died a couple years ago.
Oh, really?
Yep. It's kind of funny.
What is?
Oh, how my sister and my half sister and they always, they always come back with, you never know. And you don't. You never know. I'm sorry, I didn't really answer your question, but it really does. It's more intuitive than you think. Actually, my mother said something in my history would always come back.
Jim's father was murdered when Jim was 2 years old, shot in the back. His mother raised him alone and died recently. He has a half-sister. There is something in his family history that his mother warned him about. This biographical information isn't offered as excuse. Jim doesn't explicitly connect it to his crime, but the timing is significant. At the end of a 2-hour interrogation for child sex offenses, Jim volunteers that he grew up without a father, that violence marked his early life, that there is something dark in his family history. Is he seeking sympathy, explanation, connection? Probably all three. Jim has spent the entire interrogation trying to be understood. He wants the detective to see him as a complex person with a difficult past, not as a simple predator. But complexity doesn't equal innocence. Many people experience trauma and loss without becoming child sex offenders. Jim's history may explain his psychology, but it doesn't excuse his choices.
And I don't know what she really wanted. There was something in her back in the history, something back in the history of my family not that she wanted to hide, but she just wanted me to always keep it low. No, and I always didn't do that. I was an upfront musician. I played at a country club in Cincinnati.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I play piano, and I really have. I played it. There isn't a country club in Cincinnati I haven't played. And it's funny, I played for big people. I was thinking, and just as we were talking about, thinking about the time that I played from Marge shot. It's at Cincinnati Country Club. I'm sorry, I mean, you're this poor as you, but I'm sorry. We walked in, and Marge and I walked in at the same time. And I said hello. She was a drunkard, just a total drunkard. By the time I finished my first set, they had carried her out of Cincinnati Country Club, stone drunk.
Oh, goodness.
And this was years before all the controversies with the Reds and all that. This is before she even had an ownership of the Reds.
Jim shifts to reminiscence, his career as a professional musician, playing at country clubs, encountering Cincinnati Reds owner Marge Scott before her controversies. It is a jarring tonal shift. Minutes ago, he was admitting to planning sex with a child. Now he is telling celebrity anecdotes. This is dissociation in action. Jim is mentally retreating from the gravity of his situation into happier memories. The professional musician. The country club circuit. The interesting stories. It is also continued identity maintenance. I am not just the man in this interrogation room. I am someone with a rich history, interesting experiences, a full life. Don't reduce me to this one night.
Oh, who else have I known over the years? I've seen Bob Taft, and seen Bob Taft's wife in slippers come to a party. Oh God, another case. Oh, we've played so many jobs.
Wow. So what instrument did you play?
I play keyboards.
Keyboard?
Yeah. And I don't do too much of it anymore. I'll play a wedding reception, play just for cocktail music, or maybe for an hour, or play the wedding. I mean, I played organ too. I played for 24 years out in Milford's Methodist Church.
24 years as a church organist. 31 years as a music teacher, a professional musician who played at country clubs. Jim has led a full, productive, respectable life. He is not a monster who lurks in shadows. He is someone's co-worker, someone's church musician, someone's acquaintance at parties. This is what makes cases like Jim's so disturbing. Predators don't wear signs. They occupy normal roles in normal communities. They have careers and hobbies and social connections. The ordinariness is the horror.
We're going to be a few minutes. He's getting your citation filled out and everything, and then we'll get you transported over to the jail. Okay?
Am I spending the night in jail?
You probably will. Yeah. All right? You hang tight, and we'll be back to check on you.
Okay.
Am I spending my ninja? Jim can't finish the sentence. Am I spending the night in jail? The detective's answer is matter of fact, you probably will. After 2 hours of conversation, of explanation, of rationalization, of connection. Jim is going to jail. The rapport building, the validation, the patient listening, all of it was strategy. The detective's job was never to understand Jim. It was to document his admissions. Jim is alone in the interrogation room now, waiting for transport. The cameras keep recording. What we've witnessed over the past 2 hours is a masterclass in both interrogation technique and predator psychology. Jim was charged with attempted unlawful use of electronic means to induce a minor to engage in sexual activity. A federal offense that carries significant prison time. His professional life collapsed. The University of Cincinnati terminated his employment. His teaching credentials were revoked. His name appeared on sex offender registries. The computers he refused to let investigators search. They were seized under warrant. What was found on those hard drives remains part of sealed court records. Jim's case became one of hundreds prosecuted through similar sting operations in the mid-2000s. Each case followed a similar pattern: adult male, chat room contact, escalating sexual conversation, arrangement to meet, arrest on arrival. And in each case, the defendants told themselves the same stories. Jim told, "I was just talking. I wasn't really going to do anything. I was trying to help. I am not like those other predators. The stories don't matter. The actions do." Jim drove across state lines to meet someone he believed was a 13-year-old girl. He brought condoms. He admitted sexual intent. He described his frustration and his desire and his plans. Everything else, the loneliness, the helper narrative, the career credentials, the sad family history, is noise. The signal is clear. A 59-year-old man attempted to sexually exploit a child. He will pay the consequences for the rest of his life. Interrogations like Jim's serve multiple purposes. For law enforcement, they document admissions that strengthen prosecution. For psychologists, they reveal how predators think and rationalize. For the public, they expose the ordinariness of evil, the way monsters hide in plain sight behind respectable careers and sympathetic stories. Jim was a teacher, a musician, a church organist, a man with adult relationships and professional accomplishments, and a tragic family history. He was also a predator. Both things are true. Both things must be held simultaneously. The complexity doesn't excuse the crime. Understanding doesn't equal acceptance. What Jim wanted, more than anything, was to be seen as a good person who made a mistake. The detective gave him that, not because it was true, but because it kept him talking. The truth is simpler and harder. Jim made choices. He chose to engage sexually with someone he believed was 13. He chose to drive to meet her. He chose to bring condoms. He chose to pursue what he knew was wrong. Loneliness doesn't justify predation. Frustration doesn't excuse exploitation. The desire to help doesn't transform grooming into counseling. In the end, Jim's self-image doesn't matter. What matters is a 13-year-old girl who didn't exist, and the real children who do exist, who face real predators every day, who are approached by men who tell themselves the same stories Jim told. This interrogation is their warning. The helper might be the hunter. The counselor might be the predator. The loneliness might be a lie. Trust actions, not explanations. And remember, the most dangerous predators are the ones who don't think they're predators at all.